Hello, good evening, and thank you very much for staying with TV3. Now, there's some breaking news coming in, and I would just want to run that by you as it comes in. And information reaching Media General and TV3 for that matter is that the Bank of Ghana has revoked the licenses of some financial institutions, and I'm going to just tell you the specifics. So this is a statement that was released a few minutes ago by the Bank of Ghana, and it says notice of revocation of licenses of insolvent savings and loans companies and financial houses and appointments of a receiver. And that is actually just a statement coming from the Bank of Ghana that indicates that a number of financial institutions, savings and loans companies have their licenses revoked. Which institutions are these? We'll be telling you shortly and mentioning them out to you. And I'm sure that if you go to our website, 3news.com, you'll get the exact number of institutions that have their licenses revoked, and then also reasons that have been adduced by the governor of the Bank of Ghana for the revocation of these licenses. And shortly, I'll be joined by my colleague to let us understand the specifics regarding which institutions have their licenses revoked and why. And when these reasons are given, we'll also try to speak to some financial authorities or persons, experts who have extensive knowledge on these reasons, and then we are better off giving you the information as it comes in from the horse's own mouth. And I've been joined in studio by my colleague on the business desk, Ebenezer Agyekum, who has been following the development. He actually dashed to the offices of the Bank of Ghana just to get this information. And what we are going to be doing is to try and have a little chit chat on what reasons have been given. But first of all, the news is the Bank of Ghana has revoked licenses of some savings and loans institutions and financial houses. Which institutions have their licenses revoked? Ebenezer Agyekum has joined me in studio. Eben, good afternoon and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Martin.
Clearly, we've all been running helter-skelter right about 2 hours ago when we started getting hints of this breaking news coming in. First of all, I'd want you to mention out which institutions have their licenses revoked.
We have a lot of them. 23 of them.
23 in all.
If I can quickly go through them. Ascent Financial Services Limited, Adum Savings and Loans Limited, All Time Finance Limited, Alpha Capital Savings and Loans Limited, ASN Financial Services, CDH Savings and Loans Limited, Commerce Savings and Loans, Crest Finance House, Dream Finance Company Limited, Express Savings and Loans Company, First African Savings and Loans Company, First Allied Savings and Loans Company. We have First Trust Savings and Loans, Global Access Savings and Loans Company Limited. We have GN Savings and Loans Limited. Let's put asterisk on GN Savings and Loans. We'll come back specifically to that one. Ideal Finance Limited.
Okay, hold on. I'm sure those of you listening are all getting quite interested in the names that are being mentioned out there. These companies or financial institutions and savings and loans companies have their licenses revoked by the Bank of Ghana. Before we go into the rest of the list, let's go to the phone lines now and speak with Joe Jackson. He clearly has been following this development right from the time that the Bank of Ghana decided to clean up the banking sector up until now. Mr. Jackson, good afternoon and thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon and good to...
All right, to start with, it took a number of people by surprise, but you, who is a financial analyst and you've been following the financial sector for some time now, are you as surprised as many people seem to be? And what are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, it was not a surprise. It was definitely coming, and we've all known that quite a few of the companies were in trouble. What was the surprise, though? There were one or two, maybe three companies in there that I was surprised to see because we didn't have full view of the difficulties that they were facing. But a lot of the other companies, some of the companies had even shut their doors before this announcement came. So, one, I would even just say that this announcement is long overdue. It is important that the central bank comes out clearly so that those that are still strong and in the market can get on with business.
Right.
The uncertainty was bad for business everywhere. And I'm very glad this has come out. But I must say that one or two names in there were surprised.
Right. And you are saying that at least from your information you've gathered, preliminary information you've picked up, some of these institutions had already started shutting their doors. What are some of the reasons you picked up leading to where we are today?
Well, if you ask me, number one was a lot of recklessness. Number two was greed.
Greed?
Yes, recklessness and greed was really part of it. Because as financial institutions, we are custodians of our depositors' funds. And they are given to us in trust. And for you to get to the point of insolvency such that the central bank closes you down means it always boils down to a level of recklessness and greed. Definitely, the board of directors will have to carry some of the can. Governance was not good in a lot of these institutions. And the central bank itself has to carry a portion of the blame.
Okay.
We've gone from a situation of extremely poor regulation. And I always dare say that the two previous central governors did not do us any good. And and all that is going on, they carry part of the blame. If they had stepped in as quickly as they needed to, this situation will not be as bad as it is today.
So what you're saying is that it is not a sudden. This is not sudden. It's been coming.
It's been coming for years.
For years. Okay. And with the Bank of Ghana stepping in now to try and salvage what is left of the savings and loans companies and these financial institutions, what would the immediate steps be? What do you think would be the right steps to be taken by the Bank of Ghana in resolving this? Well,
first of all, these institutions were regulated by the central bank, and so there must be some form of deposit protection for their depositors. That we will expect announcements to come as the days go by. But remember that they are going to have to verify depositors' funds.
How Mr. Jackson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. What would the best advice be to persons who have their savings in some of these institutions? Because with this news breaking and social media being set on fire with this news, there's a likelihood there will be panic withdrawals and then people trooping to some of these institutions. What would the advice be? Should it be that because the Bank of Ghana has taken over, they should be calm? What would you advise someone like me if I have some monies locked up?
Well, if you have some monies locked up, actually the most likely thing is that you're going to be locked up for a couple more days until the situation becomes clear. The last thing you need to do is to troop to the branches because they will be closed for Monday. So it's definitely not going to be an issue where you're going to have a panic withdrawal. You need to step back. They've appointed a receiver. The receiver needs to tell us what his plans are to restore your funds to you. Rushing to the institutions now will not necessarily solve any problems.
There is the possibility also, I mean, from your earlier submission, that the Bank of Ghana or previous governors of the Bank of Ghana did us no good when they sat aloof for this to fester up until this level. Do you think that maybe some punitive actions could be taken against the former directors or the former governors, that is?
I doubt whether we could take any kind of action against them. Their crime was that of inaction rather than a definite malicious action. So I doubt whether any action can be taken against them. And I dare say that you must give, despite all the challenges we are all facing, we must give the present governor and his team credit for being able to stand up and close these institutions down. The amount of pressure that must have been on them politically would be incredible. But they've withstood it and they've done what they needed to do. Albeit, in my opinion, if it had come earlier, it would have been better. But better late than never.
Okay, and my final question to you would be, should we rest easy and be confident in the actions of the Bank of Ghana?
Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
I'm asking whether you think that the country or persons who deal in the financial sector should be rest assured that the Bank of Ghana has got this covered.
No, but you have to admit that the Bank of Ghana has been acting steadily. In fact, some of us think that it should have even acted faster. But at least they've been acting steadily. At this moment, there's no reason to condemn what they've done so far, or to worry, or to panic.
Right. Okay.
Obviously, their actions seem well thought out. You may not agree with what they're doing, but they are acting steadily.
We're grateful for your time, as always, and for responding to our call. Immediately, we called you. Joe Jackson is a financial analyst, and we are clearly going to be working the lines to get some more experts to speak on this breaking news that has just come in. I'm going to my colleague again, Ebenezer, to help us get the rest of the list. So it's a 23 financial institutions, savings and loans, for that matter, whose licenses have been revoked by the Bank of Ghana. Eben, let us go on with the list.
Okay, we have Ideal Finance Limited.
Ideal Finance, that's one of the institutions that a lot of people have heard about.
We will come back to that one when we take a few of them to go into specifics.
Details.
We'll take a few of them.
Right.
Then we have IFS Financial Services Limited, Legacy Capital Savings and Loans. We have Midland Savings and Loans Company.
And Midlands is popular because of the lady that was beaten
the police officer.
And the police officer, yes.
Then we have Sterling Financial Services, Unicredit Savings and Loans, Women's World Banking Savings and Loans Limited. That one too, we put asterisks on that, so we'll go to that. Let's first take a look at CDH Savings and Loans. This company has been there for some time. It's a group of companies. They have an insurance wing. They have a finance house, and the savings and loans is there. And they've been doing well for some time. But when the banking sector cleanup came in, you know that the whole industry was hit by liquidity challenges.
Right.
Because people were speculating which sector will be next. So people rushed in to pick their money.
Savings.
So there were more demand money from these savings and loans or banks. But deposits lowered, so you have the liquidity challenge where you cannot meet.
Technically, there were more withdrawals than people taking their money there.
Taking their money there, so it was a challenge. So this is one of the things that has affected all the 23 lists that we have here. Let's look at GN Savings and Loans. You remember it was a GN Bank.
Yes.
And when the banking sector cleanup started, Dr. Indum downgraded the bank to savings and loans.
Right.
And the license was given for him to operate savings and loans because he could not meet the 400 million cedis minimum capital for the universal banks.
Right.
So, and now from universal bank to savings and loans license has been revoked because of insolvency.
That is actually quite interesting, specifically for GN Bank, because it was in the now it's GN Savings and Loans, and now with the license revoked, we don't even know what to call it. Right? So the immediate
it does not exist anymore.
That is what it means. But in the last few days, we got information from Dr. Indum himself, where he said that he got some investors who have promised to pump money into the company. So it meant that he probably didn't see this coming himself, because this was like 2 or 3 days ago when he met the media and said that, well, one, he's met some investors, they're going to be pumping money into the industry, and then also they are looking at revamping it and dealing with persons whose monies have been locked up. From where you stand, and from your analysis that you're making right now, we know also that government owed an institution like GN Bank. Could it have played a role in this?
That was the thing I was going to move on. Could we have saved some of these financial institutions? You know, it's like the blanket closure of the banks, so to speak. Because I followed this banking sector cleanup for some time, and my investigations and speaking to some people, I have some people who were on board of some of these institutions, and they said they were ready to put in money, but the regulator said no.
That's a powerful point you've made there. Let's go to the phone lines again and speak to Agyekum-Boateng. He's Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, so the news that is coming from the Bank of Ghana indicate that a number of your customers or your clients, your members, I should say, have their licenses revoked. What is your initial reaction to this news that has just come in?
Okay, thank you very much. So the regulator has confirmed, and we were all looking up to this exercise being completed. The regulator carried out their own investigations, and they have put out the list. What we want to tell the public is that everybody should remain calm. Now, from the regulator's own statement, it says that they have finished the process. And once the process of the cleanup has been completed, what we are expecting is that the public will begin to realize that the institutions left are strong enough to continue delivering the financial services that they have been doing over the years. And so we expect that the public remain calm. Those who have their funds locked up, what we are pleading with them is that they should not rush to the respective institutions. They have had the patience to wait over all these periods. And so we expect that everybody who is affected will remain calm, right, while the receiver brings out the process and the plan for payout and all the other things involved.
Right. We just spoke to a financial analyst who said that one of the key reasons why these savings and loans and some of your members have had their licenses revoked is because of greed. Did you see this as an institution? Can you confirm that some of your members were actually showing signs of incompetence and greed, for which reason we are where we are today?
We do not want to attack personalities. It was a system. The system, we had different players in the system. We had clients who played their role. We had shareholders and management of the institutions. We had a central bank and government policies. We do not want to ask that now that we were calling for the finalization, and this finalization has come. It is our view that we should let sleeping dogs lie. Let us go back and look at where we erred. Let us go back and look at the whole process. We should not only focus on customers. We should not only focus on the shareholders or the managers.
Mr. Agyekum-Boateng, from what you're saying, it sounds as if it is news to you as well, but we are told that it started some years back. So did these institutions not have checks and balances in place to at least prevent themselves from getting where we are or where they find themselves now?
I am not sure anybody is surprised of the action taken by the central bank. Those who have been following the discussions over the years know that we have been speaking about this for some time and have been asking the central bank to speed up the process of the finalization. And so there is nothing like we are surprised. Neither are we not sure of what was happening, but the things that were happening, we needed solutions to them. And one of the solutions had to do with the fact that the central bank believes that some institutions need to end the process.
Okay.
Yes, they have taken the steps. Let us now focus on how do we build back the system. Okay. And we want to plead with everybody that let's come around the table the role of customers, the role of regulators, the role of the government,
right,
the role of...
Mr. Agyekum-Boateng, well, we've run out of time on this, but we want to say thank you very much for speaking to us. But were you consulted before this decision was taken? Were there consultations between the regulator and these institutions?
Consulted as in what place?
I mean, were they given hints that, or were they spoken to that the regulator wants to take this action?
Yes, we were all aware that the regulator wanted to take this action, including the affected institutions.
Okay. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Agyekum-Boateng is Executive Secretary, Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies. Eben, we have just a minute to wrap this up. You were talking about some of the banks and why they find themselves where they are. What other information do you have for us?
Let's look at Women's
World Bank.
It's been surprising to see them was incorporated in May 31 as an NGO, and then in September 17, 1996, and subsequently licensed as Savings and Loans Company in 1996, that same year. But the problem has been liquidity challenge. Consistently, they've not been able to meet the minimum requirement. The same applies to GN Savings and Loans, CDH. So the issue had been from about 2 years ago when the cleanup exercise started.
Right.
The panic withdrawals that are moving. There were banks who governance was good, wasn't that weak. But once people are taking monies out of the institution and no money is going in form of deposit, you not have the money to invest, to pay back when customers need them. So that's been the issue.
Okay.
But as Joe Jackson said early on, you will not have a regulator sit down for years and you wait all this to bottle up, and one day you wake up, you said, I'm cleaning it up. And we are not done yet. The rural banks and community banks are there. Already insurance.
Is that a prediction?
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Okay. We'll have to leave it here now. This is TV3. This is breaking news that's coming in. And quickly, just an update. It is that some 23 savings and loans and other financial institutions have their licenses revoked by the Bank of Ghana. The governor has also named someone who is going to be, it's called a receiver, who is going to be making sure that they do the cleanup very well. Stay with us. We'll keep an eye on all the developments and bring you other perspectives to this news coming in. My name is Martin Esiedudati. I've been here with Ebenezer Agyekum. Stay with TV3. There's more to come.